Vanta.
Yeah, I mean, that goes on to Vanta, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. So how did that come about, and what's the route?
That's a good segue onto that, because that is exactly why Vanta came about, is because I was like, I want to build something. I've got all these ideas in my head. I'd love to build them, but obviously you can't just build them for anybody.
Yeah.
So I think, I suppose the way it came out, I was just chatting to some friends. I had a friend at Red Bull, and I was just chatting about, I'd always love to do a build, because the only way I could see about building exactly what I wanted to build is to do it for maybe an edit.
Yeah. So
I was chatting to the guy I knew at Red Bull, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'd always love to do a build. And he was like, oh, and this was Matt, who worked at Red Bull, and he was like, oh, well, we're always keen for stuff like that if you want to. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And then I went to Rowan and Martin at the bike park, and just like, would we ever want to do a edit for a rider and build a trail for them and do a bit of publicity? And they were like, oh, And I was like, I've got a contact at Red Bull, and they said they might be keen. And they, Martin and Rowan were like, oh, yeah, all right. So we had a meeting with them. We discussed a few things, and I was like, oh, wow, this looks like it's got legs. And then we chatted about what it would be and what would happen. I think it was maybe a Sound of Speed, and then we were thinking about what riders would be involved. And I came along with like, I could build this, big jumps and hips, and jumping off a quad or jump through some trees, and a hip over a tree, and a rock tire tap thing in the woods. And I came up with all these ideas and stuff, and they were like, they seemed pretty keen. And then we chatted about riders, and then escalated, and we had a line on the hill that we were going to change anyway.
Okay.
And it's only escalated into building this trail. And we got Laurie Greenland. Obviously he's Bristol based, so he's not far from the park, half an hour away.
Yep. Did he have the same ideas?
Yeah, so we got him over, we had chats with him and stuff, and we were like, right, came up with some like ideas and stuff, what we wanted, what he wanted, because he wanted obviously big jumps and but also like slightly different stuff, like whoops and stuff. So, and I've always wanted to build some whoops for a mountain bike, I suppose. So these are all the ideas that were plucking out of my head, and it was great because I got to like, just be a trail building kid and just be like, right, I'm going to build whatever I want. So, okay. Yeah. And yeah, it was great.
With drainage.
With drainage, yeah. with my professional head out, yeah. With my professional head on. And the problem is wherever you build, there are constraints. So even at the bike park, where I'm told, oh yeah, just build whatever size jump you want. Laurie's there going, yeah, build a big jump or whatever. There's still constraints. Like I still can't cut these trees down. I still can't damage the roots here. There's still some nice moss and that we can't touch, and I can't damage that area. And there's an old stone wall here that we can't knock down, and you can't build over.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So there's all these constraints that you've always got to work to.
Okay.
And obviously, things like the material on the ground's not that good here, so I can't build a big jump. But over here, it's really good. So maybe I'll build a jump.
So much goes into it, man.
So much stuff. Yeah. So you can't just. It's never like, why didn't you put a big jump there, or why didn't you do this here? Because
there's usually a reason.
It's a pretty cool model though, then to have an edit come out and then you're all excited, and then to have the jam. I love the jam. That was amazing.
Yeah, so we obviously did the build over a couple of months.
And Laurie came.
I mean, I think I've still got whiplash from some of that guinea pigging.
Really?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, we'd come up with the design, and Laurie would come every week or two, and we'd chat about. I tried to build it and finish it as I went, so we could test sections and then see how much speed we have to the next bit, because obviously these bigger features you need to kind of have a better idea of what the speed was. And yeah, we'd do that, and that would be the process all the way through, and I'd end up getting to a point where I'm like, all right, I've got to build the next feature, but I haven't tested that one. Laurie's away. I have to get my bike out. Right, okay.
Put knee pads on.
Yeah, put my pads on, yeah. But yeah, and it all went pretty well, I suppose. Did some overshooting and I did some hooking up, but nothing major, thankfully.
Rad.
But yeah, and it kind of just went on.
Was there any changes after opening it to the public, or is that pretty
much?
We
obviously had a few bits of the track that were like, we had a jump that jumped through tree branches, so you couldn't see the landing, and it was just a mesh of trees.
Right. It was intimidating, wasn't it?
Oh, it's horrendous. Yeah, I remember trying to jump it, and it's just like, you're just blindly jumping into a tree.
This isn't even the hip one.
No,
this is the one at the bottom.
At the bottom.
Yeah.
And you've got, the reason it's not that, I suppose it's not that big a jump, but you cannot see where you're jumping. You can't see a landing. The idea was the way we jumped it first is I strapped all the tree branches back out the way so I could fit the bike through and jump through, and I could see the landing. Then I jumped the jump. I jumped that a few times and I was like, okay, I got the speed. I know what I'm supposed to do with it. Then we unstrapped the tree branches and it just closed up and you just can't see anything.
In the way.
Just put branches in the way. And then it was like, well, I suppose I'll go a bit faster because the branches are probably going to slow me up and I can't see where I'm going. And
so you went through the...
So you just jump through this sea of branches. And then and the idea is kind of that you'd film it and you just have somebody bursting out through these tree branches.
It was like snowboard inspiration, wasn't it?
Yeah, like lots of little things things like that coming through the trees and hitting trees and stuff and incorporating the natural thing and stuff. So
wow.
But yeah, there's loads of little things like that. And then we had an old 6-wheeled quad at the park that it had a hard life.
Right.
It wasn't, it was off to the scrap heap really. And we're like, we'll just build that into the trail as well. So we took it up there and built it so you could jump off the ramp of the quad, off the back of it and jump over the quad and down. So all these little features.
Oh, it is the dream. That's so cool, isn't it?
Yeah, so it was one of those like projects that I was like, I actually got to build some random stuff that I wanted to build that's been in the back of my brain for years.
Sick.
Yeah. And then and then the edit came out and it was really good and it's really cool. And then we didn't know what to do with the trail. And we were like, well, we're going to open it to the public with a few tweaks. Because it's not like you're not going to accidentally find your way onto this trail and be like, oh, I'm jumping a massive double. Their first few jumps are quite technical and they're quite small. And if you haven't got the skill to do those, you're not going to find your way onto the other stuff. So, there's a lot of people like, aren't you just going to have loads of injuries with this massive trail opening? You're like, yeah, but you can't ride this section without riding the bit before and then the bit before that. So you don't get to this bit of trail without having the skill to be able to get there.
Good few squirrel catchers there, aren't there?
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, we didn't want to do the trail. And then I think our marketing guy at the time was like, oh, why don't we have a jam on it? And then, I think you guys came to it and it's wicked. Yeah, we just a load of pro riders came and just had a good time for the day. So
rad.
Do you know what's super funny? I was like, the big jumps in the bottom where we had the Red Bull truck and had all people down there. Yeah. I was like getting myself psyched up for a flip on one of those jumps. Yeah. Like I'm not bad at flipping on dirt jumps and stuff, but just something about like high speed off a flat lip, a flip. I still have to think about it.
Yeah.
So I'm like building up, doing a couple of safe runs through, and then I look back up the hill. I'm like pushing back up. And I look back up the hill. And I'm like, Pilg's coming through. What the fuck's up with his bars? He's got a steering wheel on his bike.
He might have shut a lot of people down that day.
He flipped with the steering wheel on, and I was like, I'm not even going to do it now. I've just been really psyching myself up like the last 3 runs. Pilg's just done it with his steering wheel, laughing on his bike. Yeah. It's like, I'm not going to like crash a flip, put myself through all that stress when he's just done it on the steering wheel. So I'll just stick to the little bar turn whips, I guess, guys. Cheers, Pilg.
Crowd of people going, well, that guy just did it on the steering wheel.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, the bolt's not even done up. He's just, don't make it worse. Stop making it. You're making it worse. This is embarrassing. Oh no, he's in a half-face helmet. Oh god.
probably a steering wheel off Temu as well and stuff. Yeah.
No doubt. That was really funny. I remember that.
So yeah, that's good. And then obviously we've had Vanta closed for the last year because it got loads of storm damage. But I'm about to start hopefully in a couple of weeks revamping it. We're getting Josh Lowe involved. He's going to come along and
wicked.
Yeah, put his input and probably tell me to build jumps 10 times bigger than I want him to. And he can test them this time, probably get involved. And then, hopefully having a Vanta Jam next May. So that's the plan.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, man, what an episode that was. You did amazing in it.
And so did you.
You shone like a star.
You shone like a moon.
Can we also put something up here that you can click on for the next episode?
How about we put a subscribe up there in the middle?
Yeah, I love
We're going to put a video we think that our lovely companionship will love on your face.
On my face?
Yeah.
And so you can't see me now?
Gone. And on my face, another video that we think people will love. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please hit like and subscribe. You guys are the best.
Peace and love.